it's Dorothy here with Done by Dorothy, and we are here. We're still working on our For the Love of Australia journal. So still got sort of some of my stuff everywhere where we're using it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. And we're going to finish our third envelope. And what I'm going to do is sort of take this and I'm just going to fold it up to the line. So my tab, I'm just going to fold up to there, and then I'm going to just cut that off. And you can either throw that into your scrap pile or in the trash, whatever you prefer. And then I'm going to grab my art glitter glue. Clean my tip off here because it's got some dried gunk on it. And I'm just going to glue this flap down. And again, it's going to go just straight up to the center line where it needs to go. And glue it down. And then this is our piece again, and I'm not even going to measure it. It's just sort of an estimate. I'm going to fold it in half. Yeah, I think we'll use the yellow side, or the golden yellow side, just to sort of stick with that theme. So I'm just going to fold it in half. And then I want to ink around the edges, just to make sure it has that more of a finished look to it. So I'm just going to ink this up and give it a finished edge, and then all I'm going to do is put some glue on here. And if this is straight, you don't even really have to worry about being straight because we're going to stick it inside of our paper over here, so it'll be covered. And I'm just going to center it, sort of put it in the center, line my paper up along where my folded flap was. And just sort of rub it down, then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing with this side. And just sort of glue it in. And that again will be our trim that we can poke our holes in for our ring bound, just to sort of attach it. Okay, so we have that. Then if you want to, you can go and trim it where it's even with the envelope if you'd like. You do not have to. Okay, those little scraps, let me put my in here. Let me go ahead and ink up while I have my ink opened. We're using the kangaroo rat picture. String on my, and I'm just gonna ink up around the edges. If I have any pointy parts or I want to round it off a little more, then do that. So I'm just gonna ink it up really good. And then I'm going to set it to the side. Let me put my lid on my ink. And I've got a strip of fabric here, and this strip of fabric is 4 1/4 inches. So, I mean, you could cut your fabric to be as wide. I mean, technically I could use, you know, my baby wipe. But I had pulled. I think I'll leave that for the back. I want to do this on the front though. So I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac and see, I'm going to start out right here. Probably going to use my glue for a little bit of time. And I'm just going to put my glue on here. I'm not going to soak it where it covers every inch, but I'm just going to put enough on there that it'll hold it down really good. Okay, put that up there. And I'm going to grab my piece of fabric, and I'm just going to line it up on my edge over here. Knowing I can always trim, and this is a piece of the fabric that came from Australia, from Kamali. So again, I'm just going to sort of rub that down really good, make sure it adheres really well. Okay, and I'm just going to take my scissor and trim it up. Okay, so we'll cover that, and then I want to use the gold at the bottom to just sort of pull the other end of the yellow end. I actually want this to go on the back side too, so I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger than what I need it to be. And I'm just going to start it up here somewhere on the back. And just put it along the edge. Flip it over. Try to make sure I stay up here where you guys can see. And again, I'm just going to run my glue down through there. And again, this is Fabri-Tac, and you can use whatever glue you find that works, that is successful with your projects when you use fabric. And see, I just like how that looks. And I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to add a glue from here to the bottom. So I do have the extra here. I'm just going to lay it over here. Sort of go right over top of this. Put my lid back on my glue. Line that up. Glue it down really well. And I'm just going to trim that. I got an extra piece to use for whatever other embellishments I want to use. You see, I really love how that came out. So this is our back we're dealing with. And again, I'm going to keep this as a pocket. So I'm going to use just a piece of my scrap that I have and just sort of guesstimate a size. And then I'm just going to sort of eyeball a little bit down, so I can just sort of guesstimate where it goes. Like that. And then open my pocket and slide it in there. And again, I could have inked this. I chose not to. That was just my preference. So at this point, I have, you know, several things I could do. I could just put, you know, the image there, but I know it's going to go in my book like this is how I want it to go. So I'm going to put my kangaroo rat down here, but I'm going to use some more of this baby wipe that I have. I'm just going to tear it off because I want it to have that torn edge look to it. And I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac again and just sort of eyeball an area of where I want it to be. And just put some glue on there. It doesn't have to be any extreme large amount because it's going to hold, and we're still going to put our rad over top, so it'll still sort of pull it there. Do it that way. Let's do it like this. And then I can come back in if, you know, I notice like over here there's, you know, quite a bit that doesn't have any glue under it. And I can come in and dab a little glue on. No big. Then I'm going to glue on the back of my paper. And I'm just going to center him up here, sort of towards the edge and the bottom. Let me put my lid and my glue back. Put my lid back on here. There we go. So there is another envelope tuck part. I normally like it being towards the outside. So you have options. Well, yeah, I did have options. No. You can either put it on, you can do it this way and have it open, you know, from the inside, or you can flip it over this way and it's going to flip on the back and put in here. I'm actually going to put this facing forward. But before I do that, you know, I sent this cute little wood chipboard piece, and I'm going to use my gold Krylon on it, and I'm going to paint it gold and then adhere it on there just to give it a little bit of something with maybe some of the Australian encyclopedia pages that we've got. So I'm just going to color this in. So just sort of give it that gold look. I'm doing it with this base gold, then I'm going to go around the edges and the side with my other gold pen. It's sort of a brighter gold. This is more of an antiqued gold. So I actually get both of those types of gold on it. Okay. Grab this, and I'm going to go along the edges with this. And again, it's a darker gold. So it's sort of going to accent it a little bit more. It's more of a shiny gold color though. The wood does change the color of it, so you know, if you're using a certain color on a chipboard tag or anything like that, do be caution that it does alter the color of it a little bit. And you can see the difference in the color between the wood and where it's been colored. And again, this is just, I just think it adds a little bit of a touch of color to it. You don't have to do it. Or I could have, you know, used the other gold, but I sort of liked the darker, more solid gold on the outside edges. And try to get this on here. So it is coming right along. I mean, we don't have a ton of stuff to do to it. Of course, this is, you know, going to be more of a basic journal, like I said, because I want to be able to add my calendar months and things like that. I will be linking to printable calendar pages that you can, you can feel free to print out and, you know, add to your binder at the end. You know, depending on, you know, how much you want, if you want just monthly or weekly, or, you know, if anybody has a certain type. And then I'm going to go ahead and write Australia across here with my pen in the gold, just because I think it would sort of add to it. Okay, so I'm using my Fabri-Tac, and I am going to punch mine on this side. So I'm gonna add my little wood piece here. Straight right here in the bottom corner. And I could have put, you know, any kind of decoration, cheesecloth or anything underneath of it, but I sort of wanted, with all the, there's a lot of different colors there, I didn't want to, you know, add so much that it lost it. So let me get my punch out. Let me grab my pen, slide this up here and make a little bit more room. Pull my journal out, and let's see, we have our envelope there. And if you hear noises, just ignore it. It's kids in the background, so apologize for that. Let's see, I put that there. I think I'm gonna put this, I'll put it right here. Yeah, I think right here is fine. Well, let me see, maybe, yeah, over here a little bit. I think it stands out a little bit better over here. So then I'm gonna actually put this one towards the top. So I'm just gonna come out and mark roughly where I want it to be. And again, I'm not being exact on this. So let me punch here. And again, if you hear noises, I apologize. My kids are running rampant. Okay, so I have that. So let's pop these open. And I'm going to slide this right in here. This one down here. And we've got our nice pocket added here with our text space. So let me, oh wait, you know, I've got, let me pull this over here. I've got some stuff over here. I just have these really, really cute little note papers that Amelia sent. So let me, I'm going to fold this down a little bit. So what I want to do, let's see what I want to do with it. Nope. Let's create a little notepad real fast. We'll just do that. Let me fold them in half. And then I'm just going to cut where I folded. That's maybe 4 little pieces. Then, let me see. I have this green I can put on the bag. That'll be cute. Let me roughly use my roller and sort of roughly tear an edge over here on this side. And then just a tad off the bottom. Just to sort of give it that rough edge. Let me ink it up on both sides, just to add some aging to it. Just because I think it takes away when you take that stark whiteness away from it. Sort of. Okay. Put my lid back on there. And then I'm going to just line my little notepads up. And I'm just going to center them in the top of my it doesn't look like I'm doing anything. I'm actually trying to center these up. Okay, then I'm going to grab my little Tim Holtz stapler, staple across the top of it, and then I'm just going to grab my gold ribbon here. And then I'm just going to add a little glue across the top on one side. I'm just going to go down to that first line because then I can use it as a guide on this side. Then let me turn it over, and I'll put a little bit of glue across this side. Super even. Just don't want it super crooked. There we go. Then I'm going to trim my sides up. Just a small bit where it's crooked over here. I gotta straighten that up just a little bit. Okay, so I have a little notepad we can slip in there. And then let me grab my other little box of things over here. I have this, it's just a card, and I've inked it up. I'm going to grab my gold marker. I'm just going to go around the actual flower parts. Just around the outside edges. And it doesn't have to be exact. If it's a little crooked, that's fine too. I don't stress about some of those things like that because I think it sort of adds to the quirkiness of it. So just that in the corner doesn't seem like a lot, but I can, you know, color the little Diane. I actually could take my pencil and, or my gold paint pen, and actually color the leaves in. Just to add a little color if I wanted to. I'm not going to do every leaf, I'm going to do every other one. Just to give it a little bit of difference there, a little different tone. There we go. So it just adds a little bit to it. But I'm not, you know, trying to do a lot to it. And then I'm just going to fold and trim this like this. Sort of fold it over in the corner to give it a little accent. And then that's, you know, I can use it as a journaling spot. And slide it right in there, and that gives you a little ribbon. So like that just adds a little bit to it. If you guys can see that over there. Okay. That is that. So now I'm going to flip all the way over here. And I'm going to pull this off. As you know, we're going to back. Now the back of my journal I'm going to do a little different. I want it to be solid, just a solid color, because I want it to have a flat surface to write on. So we're going to just sew our back side here, and I have this old sort of riddled piece of scrapbook paper. Pull the top section off here. So I'm just going to glue this onto the back, and that's going to be my back. I want it plain and solid. I may add something to it later, maybe like a back pocket or something, but for right now I think I want it solid. And I did put my grommets on first, and I meant not to do that, and you know, I got sidetracked, so it ended up with the grommets in it. So I'm going to use my Forever Protect for this. I want sort of a heavier support for the covers because they're going to get a lot of wear and tear a lot more. So I'm just going to, you know, put some Forever Protect on there. You could use art glitter glue. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can use. This is just, I had it right here, and so that's what I'm using. And we'll go through and cut these holes in just a minute. I'm going to put this as close over to the edge as I can get without being up against the edge, because I don't want that ripped, torn edge on there. And then I can take my scissors and just trim this down. And again, I'm just trimming this up. I'm sorry if I was trying to concentrate on getting the edges, and sometimes it's hard to do that and do two things at once. And then again, I'm going to ink up in the edges. And again, like I said, I sort of want this back side just sort of plain. I thought I would keep it plain. I want it sort of to be flatter, and I thought as I've got some other things when I get towards the end and I have, you know, images left, or I have encyclopedia pages or stickers or things like that, I can sort of decorate the back up more randomly with things if I want, sort of as a hodgepodge of things. Hole punch here. Hopefully I can hole punch it through there. It may not let me. It's not gonna let me. Okay, I know I can do this one, so the other ones I'll have to So what I'm doing is where I've already put these grommets in, because I didn't mean to do that and I did it, and so I'm lining them up and punching where the grommet would go, and that's going to sort of notch that hole out for me, except I did that one wrong. That's okay, we will fix that in a second. Okay, so I'm going to, I actually have this I'm going to use, and use a smaller end, and it sort of pop a hole in there. And then I can use, I can do a couple things. I'm going to paint some gold reinforcers to put across there, so that will cover that up without a problem. And then on the front, I am actually going to do a pocket. So I'm going to cover it with, again, a solid sheet, and then add my pocket. So I'm going to glue this up really fast. And again, I'm just going to, this squishes around in here. If you don't drag it and actually leave, like, per se, a little pile of glue, then it actually leaves you some to squish around. So okay, and then let me glue it in the corner here. And what I may end up doing is putting this green to the inside, because I'm actually putting a pocket on the back, and then I could put this, because it sort of does have little gold flowers in the middle, so it's like a greenish gold. That way I have a little color on my back and it's not solid, just plain. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and trim off the extra. And I am going to put a ruffle along the back edge, but it'll be one of the last things that I do, because I just don't want to end my way before we get there. So let me, I'm sorry, I hope I'm in camera. Okay, so let me, oh, why this wrinkle on me there. I'm just going to use this and poke my hole in it, and then I can go back through and fix it in a little bit. And then I'll have my hole reinforcers around that, so that'll, yeah, I think I will put that on the back and this on the inside. So we're going to do our pocket. And I'm going to use, this is that scrap piece I've been using, so I figured we might as well go ahead and use it. Okay, and I need just a second. I'm going to pull my scoreboard out. And I want this to sort of be, have a little bit of room in it, so I'm going to score at a 1/4 inch, and this is just a piece of coffee dyed paper. I'm not worried about putting something extremely thick on there, because I know I'm going to turn around and I'm going to put, yeah, I'm going to be adding, you know, other things to it, you know, decorating the front, so that's going to help bulk it up. So I'm going to do a 1/4 inch from each end. And then a 1/4 inch across the bottom. So I'm going to do a 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch on both sides. So you need 2 score marks on both sides and just the 1/4 inch across the bottom. Then I'm going to come down half. I'm going to come in, let's see, 1, let's see, 1/2, 1, 2 at 2 1/2, and I'm going to score. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off, let me get that out of the way, where I scored at 2 1/2, I'm going to just cut right down that score line. Or if you want to cut the 2 1/2 off first before you score it, that's fine. I just do it that way because it's easier. And then I'm going to come at the bottom, I'm going to cut the 2 little squares in the corner that I scored. So I'm going to cut up the inside of my 1/4 inch score line to the score line and then cut the 2 little off. There you go. Just like that. Okay. So then I'm going to fold the bottom 1/4 up across the bottom. And if you're going to do this, you need to make sure that you get at least a piece of paper that is, you know, because sometimes when we coffee or tea dyed, you get really brittle papers that break really easy. You don't want that. You want one, you know, not super dark. Okay. And then the score line I'm going to fold at the inside 1/4. And then I'm going to take the very outside one and fold it in. So I'm going to take it in and fold it all the way up on the second score line on the inside, and then fold the outside line in. So we're basically just creating a little box, but we're going to have a little space across the back. Then you can use whatever kind of adhesive that you want to use, and I will use mine as soon as I can find it because I moved it so I would have it, which means now I can't find it. Okay, well, we'll use our glitter glue, I guess. Oh no, there it is. I know I had it, so I would have it. Okay, I'm going to use double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to put it across the bottom, which is why you want it to be a 1/4. And then I'm going to put it on the very outside of the 1/4, so along all 3 of the edges is where I want to line it up at. So I'm just going to line that up. I'm sort of just patting that down so it adheres. Okay, so I'm going to take the bottom off so I can get a hold of it. Okay, then you may have to pull it up a little bit because sometimes it wants to stick. And then if you want to take your scissors, you can cut off just a teeny tiny, it doesn't take a lot, just a teeny tiny triangle right there, and it sort of helps. And you're going to glue that top to the bottom right there. And again, when I say teeny tiny triangle, I mean just like the smallest of triangles. Okay. And then I'm going to take my tape off, so I have it all off. Then you have to decide what side you want to put it on, and again, that's up to you. I'm going to use this solid green. Okay, I know these are going to be to the inside. I want my pocket opening to be to the outside. So I'm going to lay this right like this. And I'm going to do it a little bit away from my holes because And all my hole reinforcers are going to be there. And then I'm going to glue that down, and you can even press it flat if you want to. That's going to fold it at 1/8 because it's going to fold your 1/4 and 1/2, which is fine. And if you need to move it around any, and that gives you a nice open pocket with a lot of room, so you have a lot of room to stick things in. Then we're going to do the top, and on the top, we already have the, yeah, well, wow, geez. I'm going to fold it in half. I'll think what the word is in a minute, guys. Just give me a second. I'm going to fold it in half. Okay. And then I'm going to take the other one, fold it in half again. Okay. And I'm going to cut it in between the 2 inside score lines. Just up the center there, just trim it off. Then you have an option on the corners. You can, I'm going to cut mine at a diagonal, just slightly at a diagonal. You can do that, or you can just round the corners off if you'd rather do that. Okay. Then I'm going to take my adhesive tape on the small side where remember we folded to the inside, the very first inside flap, and you can sort of put this along the edge. I'm actually going to do, I have 1/4 inch tape, and this is about a 1/2 inch fold, so I'm actually going to do 2. Or if you want to use glue, you can use glue. You can do that too. Whatever works for you. I just had that sitting here and thought I would use it because some people would rather use double-sided adhesive for things. So I thought I would use it for that. Let me get that out of the way. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 1/2 inch, I'm going to stick it inside of my little envelope area. I'm going to slide it down. And with the double-sided adhesive or glue, you have to sort of be careful. So you just sort of hold it where it's up. Get it in there. And then just sort of burnish it down. Okay. Then what I do is where we did that fold, I sort of fold it forward a little bit and fold it again. Or you can score at the 1/4 inch lines. I just know that that's about where I need it to be. So it works for me. Again, you can move that around to where you want it to be. And this is if you don't want to measure anything. Now, sometimes I measure exactly. It just sort of depends on how I want to do it. And then I'm looking, I think I'm going to put this on here just as a tuck spot. Let me trim it up. And I'm going to run some glue just along the outside edge. And again, I'm just going to hold this, glue it down. Then I can come back through with my scissors and trim it a little bit, hold it, and if I try to do it this way. trim it and you sort of rip it along so it has that sort of raveled edge. And I don't mind with it having that. I sort of want it to have that awkward unevenness. So you can go down to the top and, you know, run your glue as far out as you need to. And then I'm just going to sort of decorate up on the corner a little bit. Sort of creating a couple additional tucks on the outside. Just down in the corner. And sort of creates a tuck. Okay. And then we will work on the closure and finishing the decorating of it up tomorrow. I did have this I wanted to put in here, so let me ink this up and we'll glue it on. Tomorrow we'll work on the closure and add a few things in. So this will give us a nice pocket to have. Yeah, so we're moving right along, and then we will decorate. We'll finish that up, and then we will do our front cover tomorrow. And then, oops, we'll do the rest of the little ephemera that we have to do. And then we'll do, yep, we will get this all fixed tomorrow. I got that put in there a little crooked, I think. Yep. Okay, well, I will fix that and straighten that out. I got it a little bit crooked. So I'll get that straightened out. I guess it's where I folded it crooked. Okay, so well, actually, you know, we could go ahead and do this. What I was going to use was, I wanted to use one of my little paint chips, and I'm just going to cut a circle out. And this is the yellow I'm going to ink around the edges. And then I'm going to use my little gold marker just to color in that center line where it's white between the two colors. So I thought I would color that in with the gold just to cover that white up. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then let me use my art glitter glue. I'm going to art glitter glue the bottom half of my circle down, leaving the top up. Because this is a paint chip, it is a little bit more thicker. So I'm basically just going to sort of hold it down and ideally figure out where I want it to be. Sorry about the ring. You know, nobody ever wants to call until you're doing something. Okay, so we have our little tuck spot up here where we can fit something. Just sort of some decorative edge. We've got our little circle dot here. I just glued it down. And then I want to put something along here. I think I'm going to use some ribbon. So, a bit of green ribbon down the middle. And we can actually make this just a tad bit longer on each end. And let it overhang will be perfectly fine. And then untuck this. Then I'll just take my glue and run it down the center, making a nice line up and down my page. glue that in there. This sort of reminds me of when I was a kid. I'm going to just tell a story real fast. But yeah, so we got that. Let's trim some of these up while I'm sitting here talking. But when I was a kid, my mom got these movies and we watched them. They were called 4 Mile Creek. They were based in Australia. And so I've always just sort of like, you know, had this Australian thing. I'm actually going to paint the whole entire bottom half of this with the gold. I think it will look a little bit better. Yeah, so, you know, I watched that as a kid. And I'm actually going to go along the outside edge here. I thought that was the, you know, it was the coolest thing. And then what it was is they, if you know what it is, you'll have to comment in the comments, but it basically was, it was called 4 Mile Creek, and it basically was, they ran like Conestoga stagecoaches, and it was sort of like the little boarding house inn type thing where they ran it. I don't know if that movie is still around or not. I'll have to check and see, because I actually really liked that movie when I was a kid. And it was pretty neat. But yeah, I always, it almost creates like a gold foiled look. But yeah, so I mean, I remember that when I was a kid, and I just remember that. It's been a long time since I don't think I've seen it since I was a kid. It was like one of the like library loan videos where you could, you know, borrow a video from the library type thing. Try to do one. There we go. So there is that. I just feel like this over here needs a little bit something. I left this up just in case. We could do oh, that might be really cute. Let's ink this up. But yeah, it was a really one of those movies I remember watching as a kid, you know, because sometimes you, it was actually pretty good. It was like an Australian, I don't want to say Little House on the Prairie because it wasn't really like that. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of, I don't know. This is a piece of that Australian encyclopedia. I'm trying to see if I can fit this. I think I will, and I think I'll just throw a little glue sort of around here on the sides, and that'll be enough to hold it in and secure it. But I don't want to put too much that goes, you know, through the fabric, and then I don't have any little tuck spot. And then that leaves this up here that I can, you know, tuck some smaller things into. And then, of course, we have our envelope where we can tuck some larger things into. And I'm going to leave this here. I mean, it's got, I just really goobered that up there, didn't I? I don't know why that usually doesn't come out that crooked. I don't know. I've done that 100 million times. I don't know. I don't know why. I think it's, I didn't get it glued down over here really well. I don't know if I can. Oh, you know what? I may be able to move it around. It seems like it's coming up without tearing the paper. Let me get in there and see. I almost got it. There it went. It didn't, I think it tore the paper just a tad bit on the inside, but you guys will see how I fix it. Yeah. Let me put a little art glitter glue on. Oh. I let it dry up. I'll just put some fiber tack on here because I can move it around at least. That'll give me a little time to put it in there. See if I can pull it up here. Try to do this whole end down here too. Just put it in there. And this will happen. Sometimes you'll have to, sorry about the train. This will be down inside my pocket, so I'll actually be gluing over top of it. So let me put some glue on here. Okay, let's try this again, guys. Who would have thought? And of course there's all that golden green in there where and that's still, that'll work. So, our front and our back, this is like, I don't know what's my glue, just doesn't seem like maybe it's like doing what it's supposed to do today. I guess it's okay. Okay, let me grab my book down here. Hopefully my cutter won't fall over. If you do hear a loud bang, that's what it is. That's what that was. Okay. There we go. And it's starting to get really full. Again, I have my, I'm going to be putting a calendar and stuff inside mine, which I know a lot of people probably won't do. That's just what I'm going to be using mine for. Oh, this one wants to catch over here. Let's see what I caught on here. There it went. So every once in a while it catches. It's really goofy. I'm not a huge fan of ring bound journals. I just thought I would do this because it was something different. I like our regular journals a little bit better. So yeah, we've got our pocket back there to store stuff in. So let me flip this over. I did it again. Let me just try. Okay. That. I guess it just was having an issue and just needed to work itself out. Yeah, so we have our front and back covers to do, and we have our envelopes done. We have a couple more little inserts we're gonna do, but yeah, it's starting to thicken up, and the ring binders start getting gooey the thicker you get them. So we are limited more on space. So we do have our journals in here, the little journals we made. We have to do some stuff for in our pockets and do our front and back covers. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot in it, but just because they get so tight, you're sort of really limited on the space. And because we did do a lot of mixed media, you know, our bigger pages are a lot thicker than, you know, what they normally would be on a smaller one. So, yeah, we will work on inserts for our envelopes. Of course, we got, is it this one? Nope. We have this one to do an insert for, and this one to do an insert for, and then our front and back cover. We're going to do a pencil holder that we can put on it too. So that is it for today. I hope you guys had a great day. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Sorry it was so stretched out and goofy, and the train and the phone, and you know, when it rains it pours. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.